Start. Okay. So, hello everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm with a good. I want to say good friend because that's what I'm used to, but I'll say a good acquaintance for now. Who has very interesting perspectives, which I felt other people should hear. So here we have August. Hello, August.
Hello.
Yeah. So okay, the first thing I'd like to mention is that most people would know about like CBSE, State Board, and ICSE as the only mediums, or like not mediums, but like only levels of education in India. But there is something beyond ICSE, and that is what August is doing. It's called Ivy League, which I thought only existed in American TV shows and movies. But can you like give a small brief on what Ivy League is?
Okay, so basically, most of the times I think that parents have this preconceived notion that their child should pursue IITs or give the NEET exam or something of that sort, right? Now, the thing is that I never really had that pressure, and I was more interested in foreign colleges, to be specific, the Ivy Leagues and the elite colleges of America, like MIT and Stanford. So now, when I was in 10, I was in ICSC board, and I had made that decision pretty early on that I didn't really want to be associated with CBSE or ISC board in the future for two main reasons. First of all, obviously, that I wanted to pursue um, uh, my higher education in the US. And because of that, I thought that obviously it would help me if I would study from in an Ivy board, which would follow Cambridge curriculum, right? Now, the second reason was that I've always had inclination towards physics, and I want to become a physicist, but I've had side interests as well. Like I love modern architecture, I love psychology, and because of that, I thought that we do not get that variety in CBSE and ISC curriculum, right? So to get that variety, I think that's why I decided to pursue IB board, that is the Cambridge curriculum. Now, basically, we have AP classes, right? In AP classes, the full form of AP is advanced programs. They are the courses which you get in your universities or colleges, mainly in foreign universities. Now, the thing is that if you pursue such an education, it would save, first of all, your money, because when you'll enter any foreign university, the courses are similar, as I said, to the uh, the courses that you study in school are similar to that of the university courses. So you don't have to study those courses in the university, right? So you do, the tuition fees get just a second, someone was calling.
Yeah.
Yeah. The tuition fees is not that much and it gets subsided. So I think that's one of the benefits of having it. And now again, it looks great on your portfolio because if you score like a good 4 or a 5, the maximum score you can get on AP classes is a 5, right? So if you get a 4 or a 5, it helps a lot in your portfolio. And yeah.
Nice. So, and you also have a specific interest in psychology. Uh,
Yes.
so, like, one of the okay, I wish I could like have recorded it at that moment, but one of the things, very interesting things that you told me was like it's not bad, not all that bad to like have a narcissistic streak.
Right.
You know,
um
like I just want to say like for a person like I scroll a lot through these motivational content on like Instagram or like YouTube shorts and stuff like that, but I've never come across this theory which is like, you know, being a narcissistic or having a narcissistic streak is not that bad. Like it's okay to be selfish at times.
right.
And
uh
yeah.
yeah. So I have been called many times in my life. And again, I think that people most of the times take these terms for granted.
Mm-hmm.
uh, I'll explain on that a bit more. Because, see, the thing is, what I told you before was that obviously having a narcissistic streak is not bad at all, because there are many people who are underconfident because
Mm.
they think that, the other person would perceive them as a narcissist, and they would presume that that person is self-centered and will not really think about other people whenever that person is making any decisions. But it's not
Yeah.
exactly like that, because I think many a times, in order to not have that notion in people's head, you become a people pleaser, and it's something bad, in my opinion, honestly. I mean, obviously, you should cater to people, you should cater to the community and society. That's something that every human being should do, but only to a certain extent, as in, you have to first cater to yourself in order to cater to others, right?
Yeah.
If you cannot exactly help yourself, I don't think you would be able to help
Help
or guide
other people.
anyone for
Yeah.
that.
True.
And now the thing that I was saying, that these terms are being popularized a lot, and people have forgotten the actual meaning of being a narcissist. The thing is, it is a psychological disorder,
Mm-hmm.
narcissism, right?
Yeah.
So it is a very serious disorder. It's mostly found in psychopaths, and people use it so generally. I think that this whole thing, again, it's same. It goes the same for the word pagal or mad. I
Yeah.
think that again, it is a serious problem which you can have, which a person can have, but it's become such a generalized term that you just call that you refer with that term to anyone, right? Now, the other thing is, I think nowadays, mostly in teenagers, it is seen that they always have this perspective in their mind that they're always depressed, and then their life is at the end. Now, again, they
Like I would just
popularize
like to button on this
in
and
that
say, like
way.
I've come across people who would just like, it's very cool to say, hey, I'm depressed, and be like,
Exactly.
that's it. Like when, and I would look towards them, expecting a response like, hey, I'm depressed and I'm going to therapy, or hey, I'm depressed and I'm working on it, or something. But it's just cool to say, hey, I'm depressed. And it's like a
Right.
fashion statement or like a tattoo on your arm or something.
True. I've seen many of my friends believe this notion that it's so cool to say that I'm depressed. Being a psychology student, I know to a certain extent that being a narcissist or being actually depressed, what it exactly means to be actually depressed, because people do not know the gravity of their statements nowadays. They
True.
just want to talk rubbish, and they just think that it is a fancy term. I think retard was a very fancy term, is a very fancy term nowadays. Like, you go on Discord, you go on any social media platform, people would just continuously say retard, retard, retard. Like, I don't know. I think that people just find the term, they popularize it without actually knowing the working behind that term, and they just say that to other people, right?
Yeah.
I also do that. I call people retard a lot, but now again, as I said, it is a problem, no?
Yeah,
But
I
not
get
that
it.
much. Like, again, coming back to the topic, narcissism, the kind of narcissism which the general public is familiar with, thinking
Yeah.
about yourself most of the times. I think it is
Being
pretty
like
fine to be
egotistical
so.
and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It is better to be a bit narcissist in general reality,
Hmm.
than being an underconfident or insecure person, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
And okay, I wanted to get your view on one thing also. Like, I know we spoke about this earlier, but we were talking about friendships. Like, if you look at my perspective of how I like for people, the context is that I have shifted around 6 to 7 schools as I was growing up. In the 12 years of my schooling, so I never got to like have a proper social circle or those, few friends that you'll always have with you. And so I've not had that. But from my understanding of it is that August here has had like a decent stable childhood where she's been able to have like a consistent set of friends, you know. And that's why
Right.
I asked you what your definition of friendship was. And it was a very like wonderful definition that you said. But I also want you to like reiterate what you told me when I asked you about, like, especially nowadays, I feel the common norm that is happening is people go online in a state of desperation, let's say. Either they don't
Right.
have friends, or they feel that they are not loved enough by their family or society or whatever, and they go in this state of desperation and they find someone, and they instantly form like this bond with this person. Now this especially hit its peak during the pandemic, during like when COVID-19 was happening. It's still happening now,
Right.
but I'm like during the peak of the pandemic was when everyone got online, everyone got to have like new Discord friends from all different countries. And either most of them would be friends, or most of them would get into relationships and like go into extremes and stuff. But that is why if you wouldn't mind, I would like you to reiterate the point that you made, like, does online friendships have the same value as IRL friendships?
Okay. As I had earlier stated as well, I think it would depend from person to person. For me, I have wonderful friends, which, the kind of friendship where you always roast each other, but you know that that person would always be there for you whenever you need them. I have those kind of friends. So
Yeah.
I know that they'll always be there for me, and they also know that I'll always be there for them, irrespective of whatever circumstances there might be, right?
Yeah.
So because I have such relationships IRL, I think
Mm-hmm.
because of that, I do not value my online friendships that much. Obviously, I think it's a beautiful thing to have online friendships over Discord or any other social media platform. I again think that one more point that I would like to add is that you never really know what kind of person they actually are,
True.
right?
True.
You would never be able to know. Okay, you probably would be able to if you live nearby or if you plan to meet someday. There
Yeah.
is a possibility that you might know that, okay, this person, how the person
But
exactly
like
is
as long
exactly.
as it exists, you would never really know the truth of them.
Exactly. I mean, most of the times, how many times do we actually meet our online friends? Let's be real. It's a very few times, at least for
Yeah.
me. Few times, what I've never really met an online friend. Some of my friends actually have once or twice, but that's about it.
Hmm.
So I again think that you would not exactly know what kind of person he or she is.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, because of that, I don't think that I would value that friendship that much because with my friends, I know them inside out,
Hmm.
probably better than them. So I think because of that, again, we have formed this bond within ourselves with each other. So yeah, I think it is a strong bond because of that. And again, as I said, there can be varied perspectives. So
Mm-hmm.
the other perspective obviously is that as you said, that you never got a chance to develop that deep friendships with anyone because you have changed schools so many times, right?
Yeah.
So I think because of that, you might find comfort in having online friends, and there's nothing wrong with it, because it
Yeah.
just depends from person to person, and it depends on your needs as well. I mean, for a person who has never really had that good friendships in his or her life, obviously it would feel great to interact with people. And I think it improves social skills as well.
Mm, yeah.
I think if you're over Discord, you're talking to people. There are many people who are quite introverted, but they talk on Discord, VCs, or chat or whatever. So I think
Yeah.
because of that, they'll at least get into the habit and they'll at least know that, okay, this is how I interact with people and this is how, you know, conversations happen. And I think that's another great thing which social media can offer.
Yeah. But okay. Coming back to the point that I mentioned, like, you remember the thing that I told you about that girl who like converted the religion and everything? Like,
Right.
okay, for context for the listeners, there's a friend of mine who I had asked if they would mind doing the podcast with me, and they said no on the basis that their boyfriend will say no to it, like wouldn't allow it.
Beyonce.
Like, but basically, the story unraveled that she met this guy online and then they met in person, and this guy got her to change her religion for him, and they got in a relationship. And now, like, she had a very good career in a certain field, and now she's planning to just be a housewife. So it was very surprising. Like, this is the worst case extreme scenario that I've heard of, like, an online relationships turning. I want to call this toxic, but I don't know if that's the right term to use here. What do you think, August?
Um, Again, there can be many perspectives of this problem because, see, I think that uh, we do not exactly know what kind of a person she was in real life, right? If she was
Yeah.
actually attached to her religion, if she was attached to her parents or
Hmm.
whatever, maybe she prefers such a lifestyle, right?
Maybe.
Maybe she
Yeah.
never did. Yeah, but I think there is a less possibility of it personally.
Okay.
Considering jitna maine I have experience with other people in real life experiences, I think that uh, that rarely happens, that the person from the beginning is like that and is inclining towards this route of
Hmm.
changing everything
Yeah.
for the person you want to marry. Because, and as you said, if it's toxic or not, for me, I think it is toxic. And I think it would be like, it is absolutely toxic. I don't think there would be any gray area towards, I don't think there would be any gray area leaning towards it
Yeah.
not being toxic. Because the thing is that if you fall in love with a person,
Yeah,
you
you
fall
don't
in
you don't fall in love with them for a specific thing.
Right. You fall in love with their personality, their interests, the way they look. And I think if you're changing that, like
Yeah.
if you ask a person that, you know what, if you want to marry me or be in a relationship with me, you have to change these things about yourself. I think that is very narcissistic, actually.
Okay, now we are seeing the true side of narcissism here.
That is toxic narcissism.
Okay.
Not toxic narcissism, action narcissism, because that's where the real toxicity lies, right? Like that basically means that you never actually were in love with that person at all.
Yeah.
Because if you want to change so many things about that person, I mean, the things that they're pursuing in their life, their ambitions,
Yeah.
their religion, their appearance, everything, if you're trying to change, then were you actually in love with that
L-
person in the
Very
first
true.
place?
Very true.
Exactly. So I think it is absolutely toxic. And again, if the person from the very beginning wanted to have this route in their life, like if the girl from the beginning before meeting that guy was like, you know what, I don't want to do, don't want to pursue my career, and I want to become a housewife, and I want to change my religion, if she wants to change her religion and wants to pursue a different route, I think that's fine. That's completely fine
But
because,
if it's like independent of any pressure from outside, then it's
yeah,
fine.
yeah, then it's fine. But if it is influenced by someone, I think, see, she would regret it, if not now, afterwards.
Yeah.
Because if you talk about the person she's in love with, he has got everything he wants. Okay, the way he
And
wants
he's not compromising
it.
on anything.
He's not compromising on anything. I think that okay, compromise is needed in a relationship, and there is nothing wrong if a
Hmm.
person is changing
Yeah.
while being in a relationship, right? But if that change is good, then it's fine. But if the person is completely changing their personality, their interest, their ambition, then it's something to actually ponder upon and think, okay,
Yeah,
if
कुछ
it's
तो गड़बड़ है दया.
exactly कुछ तो गड़बड़ है. So now
Yeah.
again, if she won't regret it now, she would probably regret it after 10 years. And even if she goes for a divorce or something like that, which in most of the cases nahi hota,
Hmm.
especially in such relationships jahan pe the other person is clearly the dominant one.
Yeah.
In such cases, बहुत time
but
divorce
the
doesn't
but
happen,
the
but they'll
surprising thing
regret
for
it.
me was like, okay, the surprising thing when I questioned, or I was curious about it, like they didn't mind
Mm,
talking about it. So when I questioned them about it, they were very confident about this, and they were going over the top, where they were like, "Ha, now we'll get married and iske baad bachcha hoga," and then I'm like, wait, you're going way too fast. And they didn't mind if they didn't like pursue the actual ambition they had for their life was to like be an expert in a certain field, and they didn't
right,
mind not pursuing that because it was, you know, these plans were bigger than that kind of stuff. And it was interesting for me because this was something, okay, this was one of the first weird cases that I've heard outside of India. Like
right,
in India, at least, I've not heard of anything like this happening. But this was something
mm,
outside of India happening. And I was like, okay, this is interesting because this seems like a completely brainwashed person who is not able to understand their own situation of like what they're in. You know, that's what I understood it as.
right.
But
I
yeah,
think,
it's like,
huh.
okay, I have another question to you. Do you think at some point this person, it's not about them realizing the mistake, but do you think at some point they will understand the mistake that they would make if they went through with this?
Probably, probably they'll realize it more early on than we think. But
Okay.
it's still, I think, see, the thing is
Mm-hmm.
that when you fall in love with that with any person,
Yeah.
you only notice the good things about that person, right? The thing that we call red flags or whatever. You
Yeah.
tend to ignore that, really. In when you're
Yeah.
actually in love, you tend to ignore that subconsciously.
Hmm.
Someone actually has to tell you, like, just make you sit down and say that, just open your eyes and see, view the world properly, just see all the red flags that the person has and think rationally. I think the
Yeah.
rationality is lost many times. It can be a beautiful thing
Mm-hmm.
and it can be a hazardous thing also. In this case, it
True.
obviously is hazardous and toxic. So again, I think that obviously that person would regret and would realize what they have done, but it
Mm-hmm.
would probably not be too late. But
Hmm.
they would think as if, okay, now I have to live this life because they have kind of betrayed their parents.
Yeah.
They have discontinued their education, changed
Yeah,
their
they are
personality.
actually cutting off the options, like lifelines that they have without realizing it.
Exactly. They're cutting off all the options which they probably can go to after they realize, "Ki, okay, I've done something very extremely stupid." I think after that, if you're cutting all the connections, probably their friend circle also they're leaving, right? So if
Hmm.
you're doing all of these things, you have no goddamn options. I mean,
True.
if you actually realize, ki, okay, I have done some stupid shit and I have to fix it now. How would you fix it if you have already lost all your options?
Exactly.
So I think I'd still think that that person has time to make amends, but
Yeah.
I don't think that person would have the same perspective of it.
True, because it feels like the dominant person is clearly the guy who's like enforcing or imposing his view and his,
Beliefs,
yeah, completely on that other person. And so
right?
I don't know. I hope that things turn out for the better for
Now,
them.
you
But
know, that actually is a true narcissist if you think about. Like they basically want to marry themselves. Think about it. Like you want a
oh
person to be
wow, this is so interesting. Okay,
exactly
you're not wrong.
true narcissism.
Okay, we are hitting the peaks of narcissism here. True narcissism. Okay.
Exactly. You basically want to marry yourself. You want to change that person completely according to you, like you. So you basically are so obsessed with yourself that you
Damn.
want that person like you. See,
God. Okay.
we're
Wow.
having eureka moments in this
Yeah, we
podcast.
are
Huh?
having this is wonderful. But this is, my goodness. This is like, well, it is very sad to hear because okay, I would like to say this. I don't know if you agree with me on this or not, but I feel like
Hmm.
most people our age, and I would make this 16 to 25. Okay.
Right.
Anybody in this age now, we with the function of the internet, or with like us having the internet with us, we are not as curious as we were before. We are very relaxed, and we are very chill, and whatever we need to know, we can just google it and we have the answer for it. So I feel that in that sense it makes us a bit of a lazy generation. I'm not saying we are completely lazy, but a
We
bit
are
of
a lazy generation.
I was trying to be sensitive enough and be like, okay, let's
Don't be
let's
sensitive. It is a fact. We are a lazy generation.
fine. Okay,
Yeah.
chuck it. Then we are a lazy generation. But I feel like,
Yeah.
especially because we are a lazy generation, we don't actually, like, most of us don't really have ambitions of that lot.
Right.
Where we are like, okay, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to be an expert in this field and stuff like that. So it's very rare to come across people who already have stuff planned out, A, which is wonderful, and B, people who already, like, know what they want to do, or like what road they're headed down on, like
Right.
10 years in advance. And this person
Hmm.
who I'm talking about was a person who was like really focused on that, and now they're like completely changed into this thing of like, okay, I want to be a stay-at-home housewife and do nothing kind of thing. So yeah,
Right.
it was a bit of a disappointing thing, but as you said, maybe they might realize this much before than we think they could,
Hmm.
and maybe they could like improve, or remedy their life better.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's and uh, if we are gonna say we are a lazy generation, we might as well say we this generation is also one of the most heavily reliant on the internet. And on that basis, what I mean is, like, most people, like, if you
We've
come
had
across,
internet our whole lives. Yeah.
yeah, like our
Pretty much for me,
parents,
at least.
yeah, we've had the internet our whole lives. I would like
Yeah.
I'm Yeah, I would say that as well. Like our parents' age, it was the age where they had to go to libraries to find these books, to find a specific topic and then read about it. We didn't
Right.
have that sort of thing. We had like our phone or whatever, or our computer, and we would just look it up and we had the things in our hand.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
I would also say that we are a heavily reliant generation who is heavily reliant on the internet, on the basis that most of the relationships you see nowadays are internet
Or
based.
online. You know,
Yeah.
I actually read this meme on Instagram where they
Okay.
said that just imagine if Einstein and Ramanujan had internet, and just imagine at what heights they would have reached. I just commented and said they would probably be watching porn on the internet and basically would have ruined their whole lives. And that is true. Because if you talk about our generation, most of the times we say that, whatever industrialization or whatever, after that, mainly all of these things emerged, right? But
Yeah.
because of that, I think that we have degraded as a civilization immensely.
So instead of
Because
evolving, we have gone the other way around.
we are degrading. Yes, we are de-evolving. God damn. We're not evolving at all.
Yeah.
So I think, and again, pata hai, I don't know. I had a Kindle. I
Mm-hmm.
still have it, but
Mm-hmm.
I have always loved the idea that I can on my Kindle I can just have like 10,000 books or something like that at one go,
Yeah.
and I can read them anytime I want to. Right? It's a great idea again, but
Yeah.
I never really tend to go and go and read books on my Kindle. I rarely do that when I know, okay, if I'm going to a place where do not have to carry, when I cannot carry many books,
Mm-hmm.
those are the only times I carry my Kindle. As I said, I am a more traditionalist kind of person in all of
Okay.
these things. Like when you actually talked about, that online relationships, romantic relationships,
Yeah.
what stance do I hold on such things? As I said, they're bullshit. I still believe that. I know that I might be wrong. In many cases, they have emerged to be successful, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I just think that I am a bit more traditionalist in that way, and I
Yeah.
think that things should not be done online, especially things like romance. I
I
think
feel like
the
I
first.
feel like it's the entire opposite of what books are meant to say. Like books, if you read like typical rom-com books and stuff like that, they show romance as a very physical thing.
Right.
And like
True.
yeah,
I think I don't read that many romance novels in general, but
okay.
whatever novels that I have read till now, I love reading novels. I love reading books. I personally think that the experience that you get by reading books is
Mm-hmm.
far much better and greater than getting that experience from anything virtual. Like if you watch a movie or a video or anything, I think it is
Yeah,
much better than that, and it would have a greater relevance in your life if you read books.
yeah.
Yes,
No, but as I was saying, the basic point to it being like most relationships are now online, or at least it starts online, is what I want to say. Is
right.
in those terms you can never really know, as you mentioned previously, you can never truly know a person, because online you bring your best forward, and the other person also brings their best forward. You don't see them truly for who they are or what they are in that sense. So yeah,
Exactly, that's like one of the many
it
reasons.
yeah
Catfishing
it
is so
sucks.
goddamn popular.
What?
I said catfishing is so popular nowadays.
Oh my god, it's become so
So
common now that people don't react to it. If you like, people are so used to catfishing, and it's like, my goodness. But catfishing is an entire different. I feel like in India, catfishing has become like a source of memes right now.
right.
But I'm generally talking about like relationships that start online. You hear of many stories which after it starts online, then it becomes physical. Like they meet in person and it becomes physical, and then
I
the
still
relationship.
don't think I still
What?
don't think they would have the same. I still don't think they would have the same experience uh, as the relationships which we
Like an
use,
IRL relationship.
like an IRL relationship. Yes, I mean the first time you lock eyes with that person, that moment is magical when you fall in love and you know that okay, this is the moment where I'm actually slipping for that person. I think that that is a beautiful phenomena when whenever that a person experiences that, it's just beautiful. And I think online relationships, romantic relationships, or whatever people are pursuing those relationships, whatever name, the people who are pursuing
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
those relationships, they would miss on that, and
I
that's
know.
something
True.
really sad. So
But
yeah,
it's a
that
fact that people are finding other people online, and it may in many cases, surprisingly enough, these relationships are successful and they turn out to be well and
yeah,
good. So there's always
and
there's a scope for hope, I would like to say, in these kind of scenarios. But yeah, okay, I
it's
think
not
that's
person I would ever pursue to. Yeah,
like, okay, you wouldn't pursue it personally.
never. No, you.
Okay, fine. But yeah, this has been a wonderful time. Thank you so much, August. We have spoken for approximately 35 minutes. It didn't feel like it because we touched on pretty important topics, which I feel the youth needs to hear about this, you know.
Right.
So thank you
Especially
so,
obviously our generation.
especially yeah, our generation, 16 to like 25, especially. Our generation does need to hear about this. But thank you so much. It has truly been a wonderful time. Uh,
I've had a great
having
time
this
as well.
podcast as well.
Yes.
We should do this more often. I know, like you'll be busy after this, but whenever we can, I feel like we can talk about important issues that people would hear and would like. It would make them think. Huh? Maybe this is right. You
We
know
surely can. Yeah, sure. I would love
we
to
should
interact
definitely
more.
do that. Just
Whenever
a
I
minute.
find.
Don't get out of the call. Just a minute. Thank you so much, guys, for listening, and talk to you soon.